Hi guys, and welcome back to Prayer and Penguins. A little while ago I did a video all about tips for taking a baby to church, and in particular a newborn baby, a young baby, to church with you. But my baby is no longer a baby anymore, so I thought it was about time that I did an updated video talking about my top tips for taking a toddler to church. Now, a disclaimer, I am talking from my own experience of what I have experienced from my church and of my child. I have a 2-year-old daughter who's been going to church for her whole life pretty much, and there are so many factors that can impact what church is like for you and for your toddler, whether it's disabilities or illness, or whether you have other children, the different type of church you might go to, or the type of service that you go to. So many different things, so you might have to adjust some of these tips or think about them in a slightly different way and see what works for you and your family and your toddler. But hopefully you'll still find something encouraging and helpful in this video. Also, I am aware that many churches are not great, not super welcoming, not set up very well for toddlers and young children. That is a topic I could talk about for hours, and I believe there are so many things that churches could do to help toddlers and young children, to help families at church. There's so many things they could do. But today we're focusing on what we can do, no matter how our church is set up, the things that are inside our control for us to focus on. But if you wanted to see a video about what churches could do to be more welcoming to toddlers and young children and babies, let me know down in the comments, because I have plenty of thoughts on that. But let's dive into the tips. So my first tip is to remember that your child deserves to be there just as much as anyone else. And I think this is really important to remember to help set the tone for you and for your family coming into church, what you're expecting, what you want to achieve out of being there, because it's just so important to remember that they deserve to be there as much as anyone else. So if you're worried about your child impacting someone else, also be thinking about how other people might be impacting your child and how you might be impacting your child's experience of church. They are a part of the family of the church just as much as anyone else of any other age, and they deserve to be treated as such. When you're at home with your family, you have certain allowances that you make for your child, or you do things slightly differently because you have a child with you, and the same should be present in our church family. We should be making space for everybody who is there. And in fact, Jesus himself said, "Let the little children come to me." He had some pretty strong words for people who hindered the children from coming to him, who hindered anyone from coming to him. So I think this can be a really good reminder that there is value in our children coming to church with us and being there, and they deserve to take up space in that place too. Following closely on from that point, tip number 2 is that noise won't kill anyone. I think this is often one of the hardest things about going to church with a toddler is the noise. You're worried about the noises that they're going to make, how much noise they make, how to prevent them from making noise. So many things revolve around them making noise. And as I said, your child deserves to be there and to be present and to take up space at church. And toddlers make noise. That is perfectly normal for toddlers, and it's okay. Not all noise that toddlers make is bad noise. Sometimes, of course, there are noises that you don't want them to make, but a lot of the time, noises that toddlers make are out of excitement or out of not understanding their own volume yet. It's not all angry, negative, screaming, crying because they don't want to be there, which I think is often what we think of. But I guess noise is also the thing that draws the most attention to us, that can result in us getting tuts or funny looks from other people in the congregation, that really kind of singles us out as different from other people at church. And I think it can be really hard to overcome that, but we do need to try to overcome that, to look past the tuts and the stares and the funny looks, and really have confidence in knowing that our child deserves to be there, and in knowing that actually a bit of noise is okay. You can't expect a toddler to stay silent for a whole hour's service or however long your service is, particularly if there's nothing in that service that is particularly engaging them. They wouldn't be expected to do that at home or even at nursery or anything like that that they go to, because that's not normal for a toddler to have to sit there in silence perfectly still for that length of time. I will say a couple of tips when it comes to noise that I have found in my 2 years of taking a child to church is that usually the noise sounds a lot louder to me as the parent than it does to everyone else who's listening. The amount of times that if me and my husband have been in different parts of the church, if one of us is doing something, the other one has Georgia and is looking after her, and we think she's making tons of noise, the other one will be like, "Oh no, I could barely hear her. Like, it wasn't that big a deal at all. Like, didn't bother me." And I think that's a great reminder that I think we are often very conscious of the noise that our child is making and want them to be as quiet as possible and are very aware of every kind of little noise here and there. But actually often a church is quite a big building and that sound will be absorbed in different ways. It's not just going to bounce around the church echoing unless you have an incredibly echoey church. And the other thing that I found is that sometimes it's worse to try and contain a toddler. Sometimes that is exactly what is going to make them angry, annoyed, frustrated, because they want to explore, they want to discover this place that you've taken them to. And if you're telling them be silent and stay very still, that might not go down super well. Again, because it's not normal, it's not what they're used to, it's not a usual expectation that you put on them. And this isn't about not disciplining your child or just letting them do whatever they want. It's just working out where your actual boundaries are, rather than kind of thinking, oh no, nothing is okay. It's working out actually what is okay in this space, what am I happy for my child to do. For example, there's like a side aisle in our church. There's kind of the main aisle leading to the front of the church and there's a side aisle, and Georgia often likes to run up and down that aisle. And at first I was like, oh no, I can't let her do that, I need to stop her, and that would make her cry and scream and then I need to like take her outside to calm down. But actually, why can't she run up and down that? She's not making a ton of noise, she's not bothering anybody. People might kind of see her running past, but she's not interrupting anything, getting in anyone's way, causing any harm to anybody. So actually, why am I setting my boundary that she can't go anywhere if that's perfectly okay? And it's just working out where your boundaries are in your space. What are you happy for your child to do? What are you not happy for your child to do? Rather than limiting yourself so much that your child can't do anything. Tip number 3 is to find the opportunities to engage your child in the service itself. And this might be quite tricky depending on how engaging a service you are part of, what kind of service it is, what it looks like, whether any part of it has been designed with children and toddlers and young families in mind or not. So it might start off as really, really small things that you can engage them with in the service, and then it can build up as they get older, as they get more used to the service, as they kind of know what's going on a bit more. So it could just be making sure that they come and sit with you or stand with you during the sung worship so that they can take part in that, start to kind of sing along, maybe do some dancing with them, but really kind of engage them that, look, this is something that we're doing now, we're doing a song. Could be that when there is a Bible story being told, you make sure to tell them, oh look, it's a story time, this is the person that you need to be listening to, should we listen to them? And just kind of directing their attention towards that person, towards that story. Story time might well be a concept that they understand from nursery or from at home or from wherever. So actually kind of direct them and saying, like, look, this is what we're doing now, doing a story time. We've got to listen and hear the story. Or it could be something like doing the actions for the Lord's Prayer, particularly if it's something that you do at home, you do the actions for the Lord's Prayer. Why not bring that into the church service as well and do the actions with them when it comes to the Lord's Prayer? If you don't know any actions for the Lord's Prayer, I will link a video down in the description where I show those actions, the ones that we use for the Lord's Prayer. But often there are lots of different parts of the service that are just not engaging to a toddler at all, haven't been kind of designed with them in mind at all, or that our child is just not interested in. So tip number 4 is to make sure that you engage with the service as much as you can so that they can see you engaging. I think it's really important that we ourselves model what it looks like to engage in a service. I think if our toddlers only ever know that when they go to church they are entertained by books and toys, etc, etc, and don't engage in any part of the service and don't see us engaging, how are they going to learn to engage or how to engage, or that there's even an expectation for them to engage? They'll just go from being entertained to then entertaining themselves, and then church is just somewhere they go and then entertain themselves. Where's that transition to them then engaging with the service and understanding what it's about? So I think it's really important from as young an age as possible, we show them how to engage and we model ourselves engaging too. So for me, often this looks like making sure that I'm engaging in sung worship. Even if I'm following Georgia around the church or in the crash area with her, I'm still singing with everyone else and I'm still taking part in that way. I also try and make sure that I engage in any kind of activities, responses, anything that the congregation is engaged with. I try and make sure that I am definitely doing that, either bringing Georgia with me or doing it alongside her, making sure she can see what I'm doing and that I am taking part, and I can kind of explain to her what I'm doing or kind of show her what I'm doing, and kind of if she wants to she can engage with it, but also just showing, look, I am engaging in this way. Now I have talked a lot about, you know, letting our kids be loud and engaging them in different ways as much as possible, but that is not to say that I don't think toys and books and other kinds of entertainment are not also helpful. I definitely think there are. I definitely think there are times when I do want my toddler to be quieter and to sit alongside me while the service is going on, particularly if there are quiet prayers, quiet response, things like that. I don't want her always to be loud and boisterous and running around, although I do understand she's a toddler and that is also okay. So I did also want to talk about some of the books and toys and things that we like to take with us to church if we do want to kind of entertain, to keep her sat with us in a slightly different way. So some of the things that we like to use are things like this writing pad. So this is just one of those like click to erase, and then you draw on it and then you can delete it. I can't remember what these are called, but I'll see if I can link one down in the description below. We've got things like these poppers that I know loads of people have as like fidget toys now, but yeah, even small little toddler hands can do these, so this can keep Georgia entertained for a little while. We also often take like soft toys and dollies and little babies with us, and she can just carry these around and play with them to her heart's content. To be honest, she does actually prefer like the soft toys and the dolls that are at church because they're not the ones that she has at home. So we sometimes take them and then she'll often just leave those ones and go and find other ones in the church crash. And then we also do love taking books because Georgia loves books. So we are kind of moving towards longer books rather than shorter books now, just so we don't have to take quite so many and they'll hold her attention for a bit of a longer period of time rather than have to get through like 5 books to cover 5 minutes. So some of the ones we quite like, we've got, of course, We're Going on a Bear Hunt. Keeps her very entertained. And things like this, 10 Little Penguins, and other kind of books that do the like counting down, etc. Some of the books we try and avoid are things like There's a Dinosaur in Your Book, because we love this book. Honestly, I would recommend this book 10 out of 10, but it does get her to make like loud noises and shout, roar. And if I'm using a book to try and kind of calm her down, keep her with me, keep her a bit quieter, I don't want a book that is, you know, telling her to shout. We'll save those for at home. But we do try and choose books that she's fairly familiar with, that she really loves at home, so she's quite excited to see them at church and to read them with us. So yeah, those are just a few quick tips for taking a toddler to church. If you haven't seen my newborn version of this, some of those points definitely still apply to toddlers, so definitely check that out if you haven't yet. But do comment down below if you've got any questions about taking a toddler to church. What are your concerns? What's worrying you? Let us know down in the comments. And if you yourself have a toddler or had a toddler and you took them to church, what are your best recommendations and encouragement for other parents too? But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please do get a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos from us. We create videos all about prayer, exploring the Bible and Christian life and motherhood. And if you are a parent and looking for some ideas or some help about praying for your child, do check out this video right here. And we will see you very soon for a new video. Bye!